This has to be the most creepy song now I've ever heard. Now let's get on with the game. Imagine mixing Prince of Persia with Crisis, stir it up a bit, and you get TimeShift. TimeShift is a first-person shooter what came out way back in 2007, and I have to say, this looks good for an old game. You're the wearer of one of these prototype suits. There's two of them, an alpha and a beta, so there's going to be malfunctions. So one of them gets nicked by this bad guy who goes back in time and fuck up the timeline. But just before he does, at that point, you jump in yours and go after him. Just before the bomb goes off, but you arrive at a later time in an alternate timeline where he's done the damage. For the most part, it plays as generally a first-person shooter with the regenerating health mechanic and the ability to control time, to slow down time, pause time, and to rewind time. But they are limited to about 8 to 15 seconds before it needs to recharge. It does come very useful when you're outnumbered. You just slow down time and blast them all with the shotty. There's a free weapon weight limit with a great variation of weapons to pick, just not at first. They become available later on. Also there's these mini puzzles to do, like some of them will require you to use your time power, like hit the lever, make the platform come to you, then reverse time to get to the vent, and others just will piss you off when you spend about 20 minutes or so trying to solve a puzzle, then you find out that it's something fucking simple! But when you're not solving puzzles, it generally starts from point A to point B, shooting a lot of enemies and creating a hell of a lot of explosions. That's what you be doing most of the time. This game looks so beautiful on the cutscenes, and this is an old game. I would like to see more high quality cutscenes more often, but in the gameplay it's average at best, and the environment looks great. Like when it rains and you slow down time, you can see all the raindrops hitting your screen, and in the background it's all slowed down, and the great view and the cover breaking down. There's no memorable soundtracks, but the gun sounds alright, and same goes with the explosions. I never noticed any audio glitches. You play this person in a suit, don't know his name, they don't give it. Practically no one has a name apart from the bad guy. The voice acting in most part is okay, but there are downfalls and good points. Like in the cutscenes it's good, but in the gameplay it's average at best. I clocked on around about 8 hours to complete this, so it's at an average length for a first person shooter. Let's start off with the bad points of the game. There's a bit of an enemy AI issue. They freeze sometimes for about 5 to 7 seconds just before they attack you. But this only happens sometimes, and when you've got friendly AI players helping you out, there's only one thing I can say. They're good, they will shoot and kill the enemies, and then there's these puzzles. Some of them, without warning, you've got to solve them in like 5 seconds flat or you die, and then it's back to the load screen, and this can take a couple of goes to know what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. While in the meantime, you're going to be staring at a load of load screens. And there was this one part where the friendly AI kept on saying the same thing over and over and would not shut up! But it's only that part what really pissed me off. And the suit does not always warn you in time that something big's going to happen. And when you need to use your time powers, or you just don't hear the warning what it's supposed to give, and that only happens a few times, so there's not much concern about that, but it does get you killed. And then we get down to the story. It's a bit confusing on what's going on. You find yourself caring less and less as you progress throughout the game, and if they cut out the 2 cutscenes out during the gameplay and just have the beginning and the end, it makes sense. But the ones in between raises more questions and not one of them are really answered. And the game does drag on a bit when you get about halfway through, where you're doing the same thing over. And then it gets interesting again at the last boss. What is that about? The checkpoint system is alright, but it's not perfect. The weapon variety is brilliant. So many. The ones what I liked was the bow what tagged the enemy and exploded, just like the one out of Gears of War. And the flamethrower gun, I have to say, kicks ass. And I can't forget about the quad bikes and all the ramps that I've got to jump over. And defence. The time powers, I have seen this in other games, but it does well. On this game you are bound to use them, but this game wants you to use them. And at one point I froze time. I nicked the gun off the enemy and watch him say, "How did you do that?" And then he raises his hands. I think that is well programmed. I kept on doing it. And then sometimes, if there's a weapon on the ground, they go for that weapon. The TimeShift powers are very useful, like on the big guns, or just killing other enemies. And once in a while, they did throw something new for me to kill, or some kind of machine to fight. And I like that it did give me a bit of a challenge at the last boss. The score for this game, it gets a 6 out of 10, a bronze. There's a lot to this game, and unfortunately I could not review the multiplayer because there was no one online. I searched for a while to find someone, and it could have put this game up a point or two if I got to play the multiplayer. So I'll have to give it to the campaign in all. Until the next game, I'm off.